Good evening in Reno yesterday. In an unexpected turn of events, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley suffered a surprising defeat in the Nevada GOP presidential primary, losing to the option none of these candidates. However, the loss holds little significance as former President Donald Trump, who opted to skip the primary, is poised to secure a victory in the GOP-run caucuses, thus claiming all 26 of the state's delegates. Haley's defeat is primarily symbolic, following her third-place finish in Iowa and second-place finish in New Hampshire. Her campaign now moves on to her home state's Republican primary on February 24th. Haley garnered nearly 32% of the vote, while none secured close to 62% with almost two-thirds of the state's votes counted. Surprisingly, numerous Republican voters expressed initial confusion as to why Trump was not listed on their primary ballot. Some of these voters opted to select none of these candidates in support of the former president. "I wanted Donald Trump to be on there," stated Ron Stanley, a 64-year-old truck driver who voiced his protest through his none vote. He acknowledged Trump's decision to skip the primary and believed that the former president had his reasons, emphasizing that Haley was not the solution to the issues faced by small businesses and family farms. The Nevada primary took place in an unusually quiet atmosphere, devoid of campaign signs and enthusiastic volunteers. Turnout appeared to be low, with fewer than 12,000 ballots cast by 2 p.m., while approximately 150,000 Nevadans voted early or via mail-in or absentee ballots, representing roughly 13% of eligible voters. Despite receiving the most votes, the victory in Nevada's primary still officially goes to Haley due to state law. Outside a polling place in Reno, Gary Benedetti expressed hope that Haley would continue to stay in the race. As a longtime Republican voter, Benedetti expressed his dissatisfaction with the idea of another Trump presidency, indicating that he may move towards becoming an independent if necessary. The absence of Trump's name on the primary ballot remained confusing to many Republican voters throughout the day. Despite efforts by the media and election officials to educate the public about his decision to skip the primary, Washoe County Registrar of Voters, Carrie Ann Burgess, clarified that Trump opted out of participating in the primary but will be present in the caucus. While some voters begrudgingly voted for none of these candidates, others lamented Trump's absence and wished he could have participated to compete directly against Haley. Former Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval refrained from disclosing his choice after casting his ballot but mentioned his support for any effort that encourages greater participation in the political process. As the Nevada primary draws to a close, questions arise about the impact of Trump's decision to skip the primary, Haley's defeat, and the implications for the upcoming caucuses. Will Trump's dominance in the caucuses strengthen his position as the leading GOP candidate? How will Haley's loss affect her campaign moving forward? Only time will tell as the presidential race continues to unfold.
Republicans turn on their own after Mayorka's impeachment fail. In an unexpected turn of events, 3 Republican representatives joined House Democrats in derailing the impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, sparking backlash and division within the GOP. Representatives Ken Buck, Mike Gallagher, and Tom McClintock broke ranks with their party on Tuesday night, voting against the impeachment and handing House Republicans a stunning defeat. GOP Representative Blake Moore switched his vote to no at the last minute, resulting in a final vote of 216 to 214 against impeachment. House Republicans, however, will have the opportunity to bring up the vote again. Following the outcome, GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a leading figure in the impeachment push against Mayorkas, publicly criticized the 4 Republicans who voted against impeachment in a post on social media. Greene singled out Gallagher, McClintock, Buck, and more, expressing disappointment in their decision and insinuating that they should face consequences for their actions. In response, several conservatives joined the call to end their political careers and urged the Republican Party to withdraw funding from the three lawmakers. The conservative commentator Ann Coulter weighed in on the situation, clarifying that the three Republicans were responsible for the impeachment failure, rather than the entire GOP. Coulter's tweet suggested that their actions questioned their judgment and reasoning. Similarly, Donald Trump-aligned strategist Alex Bruce called for the removal of Representative Gallagher from his position as chair of the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. Bruce claimed that Gallagher's vote on Mayorkas compromised his ability to lead the panel effectively, specifically citing concerns over border security. While some Republicans may be enraged by the defection of these GOP representatives, political consultant Alex Patton pointed out that the House GOP currently holds a narrow majority and cannot afford to lose any more members. Consequently, the calls for expulsion or removal are seen as more of a venting of frustration rather than a realistic possibility. The impeachment efforts against Mayorkas reflect the growing pressure on lawmakers to hold the Biden administration accountable for the crisis at the U.S. Mexico border. If successful, Mayorkas would have become the first cabinet member to be impeached since 1876. However, Representative Gallagher defended his vote and negated claims of surprise by stating that he had communicated his intention to vote against impeachment to the party for over a month. As the fallout from the failed impeachment unfolds, questions arise about the ongoing divisions within the Republican Party and the potential impact on future legislative priorities. Can the GOP overcome this internal discord and find common ground to advance their agenda? Only time will tell. How do you think the impeachment failure of Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas will affect the Republican Party's unity moving forward? The D.C. Appeals Court denies Trump's immunity claims in election interference case. A federal appeals court has rejected former President Donald Trump's claim of immunity from criminal prosecution in the case involving his alleged plot to overturn the 2020 election results, marking a blow to his expansive interpretation of executive power. The three-judge panel at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit also dismissed Trump's argument that he could only be prosecuted after a conviction in a Senate impeachment trial. In their unanimous opinion, the judges stated, "We cannot accept former President Trump's claim that a president has unbounded authority to commit crimes that would neutralize the most fundamental check on executive power." The judges emphasized that Trump's stance would undermine the system of separated powers by placing the president beyond the reach of all three branches of government. They concluded that the office of the presidency does not grant its former occupants immunity from the law for all time thereafter. Trump now has until February 12 to inform the D.C. Circuit if he plans to seek a stay of the decision by appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court. If he chooses to appeal, the case will be placed on hold until the Supreme Court issues its final decision. The federal election interference case, brought by special counsel Jack Smith, accuses Trump of attempting to reverse his 2020 election defeat by promoting fake electors and obstructing Congress on January 6, 2021. Trump initially filed a motion to dismiss the case, which was rejected by the trial judge, leading him to appeal to the D.C. Circuit. The special counsel had sought to expedite the process by directly involving the U.S. Supreme Court, but the higher court referred the case back to the appeals court. The outcome of Trump's appeal was not surprising, as his lawyer, John Sauer, faced challenges during oral arguments. Judge Florence Pan questioned the implications of Trump's interpretation, suggesting that it would enable hypothetical self-pardons, sale of military secrets, or assassination of political rivals without facing criminal consequences. The panel also scrutinized whether Trump's position on presidential immunity had changed from his second impeachment trial, where his lawyers argued that the Justice Department should decide if he engaged in insurrection during the January 6 Capitol attack. While the attempt to dismiss the charges on grounds of presidential immunity was not expected to succeed, It was viewed as a tactic to potentially delay Trump's trial date by several months. Trump's legal strategy appears focused on seeking delays, allowing him to potentially appoint an attorney general who would drop the charges if he were to win the 2024 presidential election. Even if the trial does not get postponed, Trump aims to capitalize on its proximity to Election Day to argue that the charges are politically motivated. As the legal proceedings continue, the question remains, how will this ruling impact Trump's legal strategy and the timing of his trial? Only time will reveal the implications of this decision. What are your thoughts on the rejection of Trump's claim of immunity and its potential impact on his legal proceedings? Republican National Committee RNC Chairwoman Ronna McDaniel has reportedly offered to resign from her position following the South Carolina primary, allowing former President Donald Trump to install his preferred party chair. Discussions between McDaniel and Trump have taken place regarding this move, according to a person familiar with the matter. RNC spokesperson Keith Skipper stated on Tuesday night that nothing has changed and that the decision would be made after the South Carolina primary. McDaniel's decision to offer a resignation comes amidst heightened tensions between Trump and the RNC. Trump's team has been quietly suggesting names to replace McDaniel. North Carolina Republican Party Chairman Michael Whatley and South Carolina Republican Party Chairman Drew McKissick are reportedly among the names being floated by Trump's team, according to sources familiar with internal discussions. While Whatley, who also serves as the general counsel of the RNC, has a strong relationship with Trump, the former president does not have the power to unilaterally install him. The replacement for McDaniel as chair can only be elected by RNC committee members, although Trump's endorsement could strengthen a contender's chances. Another potential candidate is Florida State Senator Joe Gruters, a longtime Trump supporter who was previously endorsed by Trump for an officer position at the RNC but was unsuccessful in his bid. The possibility of McDaniel stepping down from her position ahead of the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential race is highly unusual. McDaniel has become one of the longest-serving RNC chairs in modern history, having been elected to the role with Trump's support after serving as chairwoman of the Michigan Republican Party. However, Trump's opinion of McDaniel has soured in recent times. Trump and his team have expressed disappointment with the RNC's finances, as the committee is currently experiencing a year of fundraising that is considered one of its weakest in the last decade. Trump has also felt that under McDaniel's leadership, the RNC could have done more to support his candidacy in the 2020 election, including retaining better lawyers to support his claims of widespread voter fraud. During the recent RNC winter meeting in Las Vegas, Trump hinted at his intention to make changes to the RNC committee if he becomes the presumptive nominee for president. He stated in an interview on Sunday that there will probably be some changes made. This came after Trump allies within the RNC attempted to pass a resolution declaring him the presumptive nominee, which was ultimately withdrawn before the meeting. While it is not uncommon for a presidential nominee to exert influence over their party's national committee, what sets this situation apart is that Trump is not yet the Republican nominee but has already exerted significant pressure on the party chairwoman he previously supported. McDaniel traveled to Mar-a-Lago and had a 2-hour meeting with Trump, described as cordial by sources familiar with the discussion. Following the meeting, Trump announced on social media that he would be making a decision on recommendations for RNC growth the day after the South Carolina primary, signaling his intention to become more actively involved in making changes within the committee. Thank you for reading. How do you think these potential changes within the RNC will impact the upcoming Republican presidential race?